You were never here by accident. Even the moments that felt random, the delays that frustrated you, the paths that seemed unclear, none of it was meaningless. There is something deeper at work in your life, something patient, something intentional, something that has been quietly shaping you long before you became aware of it. And now, whether you realize it or not, you are standing at the edge of a transformation that will redefine everything you thought you knew about yourself. Right now, you may still see the same reflection in the mirror, the same habits, the same thoughts, the same doubts that have followed you for years. But beneath all of that, something is shifting. It is not loud, it does not demand attention, it does not arrive with chaos or noise. It moves silently, like a tide rising in the dark, slowly changing the landscape of who you are becoming. There is a version of you that already exists, stronger, clearer, more grounded than you have ever been. That version of you is not something you have to chase, it is something you are growing into. Every challenge you faced, every moment that tested your patience, every time you felt like giving up but didn't, those were not setbacks. They were preparation. You were being built from the inside out. You have walked through seasons where you felt overlooked, where your efforts seemed invisible, where it felt like no one truly understood what you were carrying. And in those moments it was easy to question your worth, easy to wonder if anything you were doing even mattered. But what you could not see was the work happening beneath the surface. Just because something is quiet does not mean it is not powerful. There were lessons you had to learn in solitude, strength you had to develop without applause, faith you had to discover without proof. And those things could never have been given to you in comfort. They had to be earned through endurance, through staying when it was easier to walk away, through believing when it would have been simpler to doubt. You are not the same person you were before those moments. Even if the change feels small, even if it feels incomplete, it is real. You think differently now. You feel differently now. You see the world through a slightly altered lens. And that shift is only going to deepen. There will come a time very soon when you will look back at this version of yourself, the one who questioned, the one who struggled, the one who felt uncertain, and you will barely recognize that person, not because they were weak, but because they were only the beginning. They were the foundation. They were the starting point of something far greater. Right now, the process may feel confusing. You may notice that things that once mattered to you no longer hold the same importance. Conversations feel different. Priorities shift. The things that used to excite you may feel empty, while things you once ignored suddenly feel meaningful. This is not you losing yourself. This is you evolving. Growth often feels like loss before it feels like progress. You are releasing parts of your identity that were never truly aligned with who you were meant to be. And yes, that can feel uncomfortable. It can feel unfamiliar. But discomfort is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it is a sign that something is changing. You are stepping into a space where you are no longer controlled by the same fears. The same doubts that once held power over you are beginning to lose their grip. Not because life has become easier, but because you are becoming stronger. There is a quiet resilience forming within you, a calm, steady strength that does not need to prove itself to anyone. This strength is different. It is not loud or aggressive. It does not seek validation. It is the kind of strength that allows you to remain steady when everything around you feels uncertain. It is the kind of strength that lets you walk away from what no longer serves you without needing closure or explanation. It is the kind of strength that trusts the process, even when the outcome is not yet visible. You are also beginning to understand something important. Not everything requires your reaction. Not every situation deserves your energy. There is power in restraint, power in choosing peace over chaos, power in protecting your mind and your spirit from what drains you. And as you continue to grow, you will notice that your presence begins to change. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you respond to others. There will be a calmness about you that people cannot quite explain. You will no longer feel the need to force things, to chase validation, or to prove your worth. Because deep down you will know. You will know that you are not behind. You will know that your journey is unfolding exactly as it needs to. You will know that every delay had a purpose, every struggle had a lesson, and every moment of doubt was shaping you into someone more aware, more grounded, and more aligned. There is also healing taking place within you, whether you have acknowledged it or not. Old wounds that once influenced your thoughts and decisions are slowly losing their hold. The pain that once defined parts of your identity is being replaced with understanding. You are not erasing your past, but you are no longer allowing it to control your future. This healing is not instant. It does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process, a quiet unfolding. But it is real, and one day you will realize that something that once hurt you deeply no longer affects you the same way. That is how you will know you have truly grown. You are also becoming more aware of your energy, where you invest it, who you share it with, and what you allow into your life. You are learning that not everything deserves access to you, that your peace is valuable, that your time is valuable, that your presence is valuable. And because of that, you will begin to make different choices. You will choose environments that support your growth. You will choose people who respect your boundaries. You will choose actions that align with your values, not because someone told you to, but because it will feel natural. It will feel right. There is also a new level of clarity emerging within you. Decisions that once felt overwhelming will begin to feel simpler, not because you suddenly have all the answers, but because you trust yourself more. You trust your instincts, you trust your direction, and that trust changes everything. Because when you trust yourself, you stop second-guessing every step. You stop looking for constant reassurance. You stop waiting for permission to move forward. You begin to act with confidence, not arrogance, but quiet certainty. The kind of certainty that comes from knowing you are aligned with something deeper than fear. There will still be challenges. That does not change. Life will continue to test you in different ways, but the difference is how you respond. You will not react from panic. You will not collapse under pressure the way you once might have. You will pause. You will breathe. You will assess. And then you will move forward with intention. Because you are no longer operating from the same mindset. You are becoming someone who understands that setbacks are not the end of the story, that obstacles are not there to stop you, but to shape you, that growth is not always comfortable, but it is always necessary. There is also a deeper sense of purpose beginning to form within you, not a loud, overwhelming realization, but a quiet knowing that your life is meant for something meaningful, that you are not just existing, you are evolving, and that purpose will not always be clear in the beginning. It will reveal itself over time, through your experiences, through your growth, through the way you impact others without even trying. Because your journey is not just about you. The strength you are building, the peace you are cultivating, the wisdom you are gaining, these things will naturally extend beyond you. You will become someone who influences others simply by being who you are, not through force, not through effort, but through authenticity. People will feel your presence. They will notice your calmness. They will be drawn to your clarity. And you will not even realize the impact you are having. Because that is what happens when change is real. It does not need to be announced. It does not need to be proven. It speaks for itself. There is a future version of you that already exists. Someone who has overcome the doubts you are currently facing. Someone who has stepped into a level of confidence you have not yet experienced. Someone who understands their worth without needing validation. And every day, you are getting closer to that version, not through sudden transformation, not through dramatic change, but through consistent growth, through small decisions, through moments where you choose better for yourself even when it is difficult. You are becoming someone who no longer settles for less than they deserve. Someone who no longer stays in situations that drain them. Someone who understands that peace is not a luxury, it is a necessity. And as this continues, there will come a moment when everything clicks. A moment when you realize that the confusion, the waiting, the uncertainty, it all had a purpose, that nothing was wasted, that every part of your journey was leading you here, to this version of yourself. Stronger, wiser, calmer, more aware. A version of you that no longer fears the unknown, because you trust that whatever comes next, you are ready for it. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where you no longer question your worth, where you no longer shrink yourself to fit into spaces that cannot hold your growth, where you no longer doubt your ability to move forward. You are not becoming someone else. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. And soon, when you look back, you will realize that the person you once were was only a glimpse of your potential, because the version of you that is emerging now is someone even you won't recognize. You are not here by accident, even if at times your life has felt random, confusing, or uncertain. There is a deeper meaning woven into your journey, something far beyond what you can immediately see or understand. Every step you have taken, every choice you have made, and even the moments that felt like mistakes have all contributed to shaping the person you are becoming. Nothing has been wasted, not the pain, not the waiting, not the times when you felt lost or unsure of your direction. There were moments when things did not go the way you planned, when doors closed unexpectedly, or when you found yourself facing challenges that seemed unfair or overwhelming. In those moments, it is easy to believe that life is happening against you rather than for you. But what if those very experiences were necessary? What if they were guiding you, slowly but intentionally, toward a stronger and more aware version of yourself? The truth is that growth rarely comes from comfort. It comes from being stretched, from facing situations that push you beyond what feels easy or familiar. Those difficult experiences have a way of revealing your inner strength, even when you don't realize it at the time. They teach you patience when everything feels delayed, resilience when things fall apart, and courage when fear tries to hold you back. These are not small lessons. They are the foundation of who you are becoming. Even the moments that felt like failure carried something valuable within them. They taught you what does not align with you. They showed you where you needed to grow, where you needed to let go, and where you needed to trust yourself more. Without those experiences, you would not have the clarity you are slowly gaining now. You would not have the depth of understanding that is beginning to form within you. There is also something important about the timing of your life. You may feel like you are behind, like others are moving faster or achieving more. But your path is not meant to look like anyone else's. Your journey is unfolding at a pace that is designed specifically for you. The delays you experienced were not meant to stop you, but to prepare you. The waiting was not empty. It was shaping your mindset, strengthening your patience, and aligning you with what truly matters. As you move forward, you may begin to notice that your perspective is changing. Things that once bothered you may not affect you the same way anymore. Situations that once felt overwhelming may now feel manageable. This is not because life has suddenly become easier, but because you are becoming stronger, wiser, and more grounded in yourself. You are slowly stepping into a version of yourself that understands that every experience has meaning, that nothing is random, that even in uncertainty there is direction. And when you begin to trust that, something shifts within you. You stop resisting the journey and start embracing it. Because the truth is simple but powerful. You are not here by accident, and your life is unfolding with purpose, even in ways you cannot yet fully see. Your struggles were never meant to break you, even though at times they may have felt unbearable. It is easy to look at pain, delays, and silent battles as signs that something is going wrong in your life, as if you are being held back or tested beyond your limits. But what if those moments were not punishment at all? What if they were preparing you for a version of yourself that could not have existed without them? There were times when you felt stuck, when progress seemed slow or completely absent. You may have questioned why things were taking so long, why your efforts were not being recognized, or why life felt heavier for you than it did for others. In those quiet struggles, something important was happening beneath the surface. Even when it felt like nothing was changing, you were being strengthened in ways that could not be seen immediately. Pain has a way of revealing parts of you that comfort never could. It forces you to confront your limits, your fears, and your doubts. It teaches you how to endure, how to keep going when motivation fades, and how to stand firm even when everything feels uncertain. These are not easy lessons, but they are powerful ones. They shape your character in a way that comfort never will. The delays you experienced were also part of this preparation. Waiting can feel frustrating, especially when you feel ready to move forward. But waiting often has a purpose that is not obvious in the moment. It creates space for growth. It allows you to develop patience, to refine your perspective, and to gain clarity about what truly matters. Without those delays, you might have rushed into situations you were not fully ready for. Your silent battles, those struggles you faced without anyone else fully understanding, have also played a significant role in shaping you. Fighting those battles required a kind of strength that does not rely on recognition or support from others. It is a quiet resilience, the kind that builds within you when you have no choice but to rely on yourself. That strength stays with you. It becomes part of who you are. Over time, these experiences begin to change how you see yourself. You start to realize that you are more capable than you once believed. You understand that you can handle difficult situations, that you can adapt, and that you can grow even in uncomfortable circumstances. This realization builds confidence, not loud or boastful confidence, but a steady, grounded belief in your ability to face whatever comes your way. There is also a shift in how you respond to challenges. What once felt overwhelming may now feel manageable. You may find yourself reacting with more calm, more patience, and more clarity. This is a direct result of everything you have been through. The struggles did not weaken you, they refined you. At some point you will look back and see that those painful moments were not there to hold you back. They were shaping you, preparing you for something greater. They were building a foundation within you that could support growth, stability, and strength in the future. What once felt like a burden will begin to make sense, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. You were not being punished. You were being prepared for a life that requires the strength, patience, and resilience you have been developing all along. A quiet transformation is happening within you, even if you cannot fully see it yet. It is not the kind of change that announces itself loudly or demands recognition from the outside world. Instead, it unfolds dhire in silence, in the small shifts you may not notice at first. But that does not make it any less real. In fact, the most powerful changes often happen this way, beneath the surface, away from attention, where they can grow steadily without interruption. You may still look the same on the outside. Your daily routine may not have changed much. The people around you may not even realize that anything is different. But internally, something is moving. Your thoughts are not as chaotic as they once were. Your reactions are becoming more measured. The things that used to trigger you instantly are beginning to lose their intensity. This is how transformation begins, not with sudden perfection but with subtle awareness. Your mindset is evolving. Where you once saw only obstacles, you are beginning to notice possibilities. Where doubt used to dominate your thinking, there is now a small but growing sense of belief. You may still question yourself at times, but those questions no longer control you the way they once did. There is a space forming between your thoughts and your reactions, allowing you to choose how you respond instead of reacting automatically. Your emotions are also shifting. You are becoming more aware of what you feel and why you feel it. Instead of being overwhelmed, you are learning to sit with your emotions, to understand them rather than escape them. This does not mean you no longer feel pain or frustration, but it does mean those feelings no longer define you. They pass through you instead of taking over you. Your perspective on life is changing as well. Situations that once felt heavy may now feel lighter, not because they have disappeared, but because you are seeing them differently. You are beginning to understand that not everything requires your energy, that not every situation needs a reaction. There is a growing sense of calm within you, a quiet understanding that you do not have to control everything to be okay. This transformation may feel unfamiliar at times. There may be moments when you do not fully recognize your own responses or thoughts. You may wonder why certain things no longer affect you the same way, or why your priorities are shifting. This can feel confusing, but it is actually a sign of growth. You are outgrowing old patterns and stepping into a new way of being. What is emerging within you is strength, but not the loud, forceful kind. It is a steady, grounded strength that comes from understanding yourself more deeply. It is the kind of strength that allows you to remain calm in situations that once would have overwhelmed you. Along with this strength comes peace, not a perfect, unshakable peace, but a growing sense of stability that stays with you even when life feels uncertain. You do not need to rush this process. You do not need to force yourself to become something overnight. This transformation is already happening, at its own pace, in its own time. All you need to do is allow it. Trust that even when you cannot see clear progress, something meaningful is unfolding within you. And one day you will notice it fully. You will realize that you are thinking differently, feeling differently, living differently. The change will no longer be subtle, it will be undeniable. But for now, it is enough to understand that even in the quiet, even in the stillness, you are evolving into someone stronger, calmer, and more at peace with yourself. A quiet transformation is happening within you, even if you cannot fully see it yet. It is not the kind of change that announces itself loudly or demands recognition from the outside world. Instead, it unfolds dhire dhire, in silence, in the small shifts you may not notice at first. But that does not make it any less real. In fact, the most powerful changes often happen this way, beneath the surface, away from attention, where they can grow steadily without interruption. You may still look the same on the outside. Your daily routine may not have changed much. The people around you may not even realize that anything is different. But internally something is moving. Your thoughts are not as chaotic as they once were. Your reactions are becoming more measured. The things that used to trigger you instantly are beginning to lose their intensity. This is how transformation begins, not with sudden perfection, but with subtle awareness. Your mindset is evolving. Where you once saw only obstacles, you are beginning to notice possibilities. Where doubt used to dominate your thinking, there is now a small but growing sense of belief. You may still question yourself at times, but those questions no longer control you the way they once did. There is a space forming between your thoughts and your reactions, allowing you to choose how you respond instead of reacting automatically. Your emotions are also shifting. You are becoming more aware of what you feel and why you feel it. Instead of being overwhelmed, you are learning to sit with your emotions, to understand them rather than escape them. This does not mean you no longer feel pain or frustration, but it does mean those feelings no longer define you. They pass through you instead of taking over you. Your perspective on life is changing as well. Situations that once felt heavy may now feel lighter, not because they have disappeared, but because you are seeing them differently. You are beginning to understand that not everything requires your energy, that not every situation needs a reaction. There is a growing sense of calm within you, a quiet understanding that you do not have to control everything to be okay. This transformation may feel unfamiliar at times. There may be moments when you do not fully recognize your own responses or thoughts. You may wonder why certain things no longer affect you the same way, or why your priorities are shifting. This can feel confusing, but it is actually a sign of growth. You are outgrowing old patterns and stepping into a new way of being. What is emerging within you is strength, but not the loud, forceful kind. It is a steady, grounded strength that comes from understanding yourself more deeply. It is the kind of strength that allows you to remain calm in situations that once would have overwhelmed you. Along with this strength comes peace, not a perfect, unshakable peace, but a growing sense of stability that stays with you even when life feels uncertain. You do not need to rush this process. You do not need to force yourself to become something overnight. This transformation is already happening, at its own pace, in its own time. All you need to do is allow it. Trust that even when you cannot see clear progress, something meaningful is unfolding within you, and one day you will notice it fully. You will realize that you are thinking differently, feeling differently, living differently. The change will no longer be subtle. It will be undeniable. But for now, it is enough to understand that even in the quiet, even in the stillness, you are evolving into someone stronger, calmer, and more at peace with yourself. You are in the process of releasing a version of yourself that once felt familiar, even if it no longer feels right. This is not something that happens all at once. It is gradual, sometimes almost unnoticeable, like layers slowly falling away. The thoughts you used to hold on to, the fears that once controlled your decisions, and the habits that once felt automatic, are beginning to lose their grip. You may still feel them at times, but they no longer carry the same weight or authority over you. There was a time when those fears felt like truth. They shaped how you saw yourself and what you believed you were capable of. They made you hesitate, overthink, and sometimes hold back from opportunities that could have helped you grow. But now, something is changing. You are starting to question those fears instead of accepting them. You are beginning to see that they were never a permanent part of you, only patterns you learnt over time. Letting go of your old self can feel uncomfortable. Even the parts of you that no longer serve you can feel familiar, and familiarity has a way of making things feel safe. So when you begin to move away from those patterns, it can create a sense of uncertainty. You may feel like you are in between versions of yourself, not who you used to be, but not fully who you are becoming yet. This space can feel confusing, but it is also where the most important growth happens. As you continue forward, you will notice that your reactions begin to change. Situations that once triggered strong emotional responses may no longer affect you in the same way. You may find yourself pausing instead of reacting, thinking instead of assuming, and choosing your actions more carefully. This is a sign that you are becoming more aware, more intentional, and more in control of your own direction. Your habits are also shifting. Things that once felt normal may no longer feel aligned with who you are becoming. You may lose interest in certain environments, conversations, or routines that once felt important. This is not a loss. It is a sign that you are making space for something better. Growth often requires you to leave behind what no longer fits, even if you cannot yet see what will replace it. There is also a growing sense of confidence within you, even if it is still quiet. It is not based on proving yourself to others or seeking validation. Instead, it comes from a deeper understanding of who you are. You are starting to trust yourself more, your decisions, your instincts, your path. This kind of confidence does not need to be loud because it is rooted in something real. At times you may look back at your past self and feel a sense of distance. You may notice how differently you think, how your priorities have shifted, and how your perspective has changed. This is not something to fear. It does not mean you are losing yourself. It means you are growing beyond the limitations that once defined you. This process is not about becoming perfect or having everything figured out. It is about becoming more aligned with your true self. It is about shedding what was never meant to stay and stepping into a version of yourself that feels more authentic, more grounded, and more at peace. You are not just changing, you are evolving. And with every step you take, you are moving closer to a version of yourself that is more confident, more aware, and more in tune with the life you are meant to live. You are becoming someone powerful, calm, and purposeful, even if that realization has not fully settled within you yet. This kind of transformation does not arrive all at once, and it does not need to announce itself to be real. It builds quietly, through your experiences, your reflections, and the way you have continued moving forward despite everything that once tried to hold you back. Your power is no longer the kind that depends on control, validation, or proving something to others. It is deeper than that. It comes from understanding yourself, from knowing what you stand for, and from recognizing that you do not need to force your way into spaces where you do not belong. There is strength in that awareness. There is power in choosing peace over reaction, clarity over confusion, and purpose over distraction. At the same time, a sense of calm is beginning to take root within you, not because life has suddenly become perfect or free of challenges, but because your relationship with those challenges is changing. You are no longer easily shaken by every difficulty that comes your way. There is a steadiness in how you respond, a quiet control in how you think, and a growing ability to remain grounded even when things feel uncertain. This calm is not weakness. It is a form of strength that many people spend years trying to develop. It allows you to pause instead of react, to think instead of panic, and to move forward with intention instead of fear. It gives you clarity, the ability to see situations for what they are, without letting emotions cloud your judgment or push you into decisions you might later regret. With that clarity comes purpose. You are beginning to understand that your life is not just about getting through each day, but about living with intention. The choices you make, the way you treat others, and the energy you carry all begin to feel more meaningful. You are not just reacting to life anymore. You are shaping it step by step, in a way that aligns with who you are becoming. This new version of you carries inner peace, and that peace does not depend on everything going your way. It comes from within, from a sense of trust that you are capable of handling whatever comes next. It allows you to let go of what you cannot control and focus on what truly matters. That kind of peace changes the way you experience life. It makes you more present, more aware, and more connected to yourself. And as this transformation continues, its impact will not be limited to you alone. The way you carry yourself, the way you respond to situations, and the way you treat others will naturally influence the people around you. You may not always notice it, but your calmness can bring comfort, your clarity can bring guidance, and your strength can inspire others to find their own. You do not have to try to make this happen. It will occur naturally, as a reflection of the growth taking place within you. People will sense the difference. They will feel the steadiness in your presence, the sincerity in your words, and the quiet confidence in your actions. This is who you are becoming. Not someone perfect, not someone without challenges, but someone who is grounded, aware, and aligned. Someone who carries power without needing to show it, calm without needing to force it, and purpose without needing to question it. And as you continue on this path, you will see that this version of you was always there, waiting for the right moment to fully emerge.